Sinus.
Okay.
I think so.
All right. Thanks for joining us on Decaf, a weekly podcast by the Beacon Center. I'm Taylor. This is Mark. We're back in our office for, I guess, the first time in a few weeks.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I guess we might have been here before, but either way, it's nice to be home. So we got a lot to talk about today. You want to get started?
Yep, let's go.
All right, first thing I want to talk about was the most heartwarming moment of 2019 so far is when Ellen defended her relationship with George W. Bush. That was probably
explain what happened first, because not everyone has the internet.
So then how are they watching this if you don't have internet?
You'd be surprised. A lot of weird things out there.
Geez.
But no, explain the story.
Anyway, what happened was Ellen DeGeneres went to a Cowboys game. She was sitting in, I guess, the owner's box. George W. Bush was also sitting there. They were sitting next to each other, and they were photographed laughing. Well, the woke population of the United States freaked out that Ellen, being liberal, was having a good time with a conservative Republican president. And Ellen basically said, I'm not having any of this. When I say be kind, which at the end of her show, she says be kind, she doesn't just mean be kind to people who agree with you. She means be kind to everyone. And that's basically what she said. She said she has a lot of friends who don't agree with her on everything. And that's not what friendships and relationship is about, is agreeing on everything.
That's right. And like they said, she was actually cheering for the Packers in that game. She's friends with Aaron Rodgers. And they went to Jerry Jones Sweet, and he's the owner of the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Pretty conservative guy. And she expected people like that.
Yeah.
Well, sure. Just trust me. But I mean, that's what she knew what she's getting into. And I mean, she realized you don't have to agree with somebody to like that.
Well, I think most reasonable people do think that. I read a tweet that said the right wasn't upset that George Bush was being friends with Ellen, and the left wasn't necessarily upset that Ellen was being friends with George Bush. It was this we call it woke. They call themselves woke.
I don't call them
very very progressive outrage culture people who thought who genuinely think that you can't be friends with people who you don't agree with.
Don't you think that's a lesson to be learned though? It's like when you see these people going crazy online and yelling at people, it's still a small population. I think that
it's just they're so loud.
Exactly. And I think we have learned that in this thing it's people on the left say, oh, this is how the right acts. People on the right say this is how the left acts. It's always the most extreme people, and it's not what most people think.
It's like a handful of people. They just won't shut up.
I know I talked to Jenny DePrizio. We were in Memphis for exit polling last week, and she said, oh, man, if you would look at social media, Tammy Sawyer, everyone thought she was going to win this election because her people were so loud, and there were so many of them. And she got 6% because, that doesn't actually indicate. And the same thing with voting.
Where the country is.
Exactly. The same thing with voting. The people who vote are not the people who are yelling at each other on social media.
We saw that when Trump won. He was behind in all the polls because you got this silent majority of people who are afraid to say anything for fear of being shouted down by the extremes on either side. I really do believe that. I think that there's a silent majority of us who are afraid of being shouted down by our own people.
I think more so now. I think if you look at the polls, they actually were not far off at all in the Trump thing. It's just a couple states went a couple points. Right. I'm dumb. I hate when people make fun of Nate Silver, the polls, though. Right. They were basically right. It just was 2 or 3 states.
Majority exists.
Maybe. I think this election might be your point on that because he is down a lot in this election. So if he wins again.
We're just afraid to say things. Even I'm afraid to say things.
That's a weird
we got to stop. But I'm
afraid
to say things because of being shouted down by my own people. And
I'm going to shout you down. Stop with 3 minutes.
Sorry. Okay, next. Moving on to the next one.
You need to make that louder, by the way. I couldn't even hear that.
I will. This is my favorite thing that we're going to talk about today is Canadians versus Fortnite. So there's a bunch of Canadian parents who are suing the makers of the game Fortnite.
Canadians versus real sports should be a thing, too. They only like hockey.
For the game being too addictive. They said it's as addictive as cocaine. Okay,
Wait, what?
Yes.
Is that a fact? Did they make that up?
Literally just read says that the parents are saying that Fortnite is as addictive as cocaine.
Thankfully, I've done neither, but I don't want to do either.
But here's the thing is, don't raise idiot kids, okay? Don't sue a video game company for creating a video game that your kid likes so much you can't get your kid off the video game. If you're concerned about this, then don't give your kids the video game.
Or be a good parent, more importantly. Just be a parent, hey, you have to stop this, otherwise you're grounded.
Yes.
I'll rip this out of the wall and you won't get it back. That's a very simple way.
We all know that people get looped into this spiral of playing video games for hours and hours and hours. Fortnite, yes, is targeted for teenagers. It's I've seen it be played before. It's kind of goofy.
It's a kid's game, right?
Kids game.
Kids and weirdos.
Right, basically. And but they're suing a company for making an addictive video game, like, good on the company for creating something that makes money. Okay.
Yeah, people like it, obviously.
I mean, they created something that makes money. They shouldn't be sued for that just because a bunch of parents raise idiot kids who like
they're
not disciplining their
Yeah, let's
kids.
not call the kids idiots. They're literally playing video games. Calm down.
Disciplining their kids.
Yeah, I mean, it's trying to say, you know what, we can't do our job as parents, so let's try to get a scapegoat, and it's the video game company here.
That is a huge problem.
And the thing is, like, let's talk about addiction. So if we're going to talk about cocaine being addictive, obviously that's medically true.
We know
all
that.
These other things are like, it's only addictive because people like doing it. It's not actually addicted to your head, and if it is, then anything can be addictive. Cotton candy can be addictive. Funnel cake probably is addictive, and I'm addicted.
Yeah,
I am addicted to funnel cake.
We both have a problem with funnel cake
because it tastes so good, and they should sell it in more places. And I will fight anybody to get it in Nashville.
If someone will open a funnel cake place,
we'll be just
Mark and I will sponsor that.
4th and Church. You'll make money from us every day. Just put a food truck right outside our building.
As we're like bashing like these kids for being addicted.
Oh no, I'm not. No, you are. I'm bashing the parents.
Okay, I'll bash the parents too. I mean, you're right. Kids don't realize that playing video games can really mess up their brains, but parents should.
I don't. Is that even true?
Yeah, it's like a.
I don't know. All these studies are like made up by people who are like they're literally trying to stop that. So that's who funds the study.
Probably true. But anyway, the parents, rather than suing a video game company for coming up with a video game that makes a lot of money and is highly successful, should do a better job.
And frivolous lawsuits too. Enough with suing when you don't like stuff. I mean, I feel like it's actually worse in other countries than it is in America.
If I sued everything that I didn't like and everyone that I didn't like, all y'all would be
I would have no money.
And
I would have to defend myself. Yeah,
everybody's on my
it's just ridiculous. Stop with the frivolous lawsuits and be a good parent.
Done.
Oh God, that was way late. I like that.
Me to turn it up.
Well,
all right.
That's not even sound like a bell. It sounded like a firefly if they can make noises. Okay.
This is your topic: NBA versus China. I actually asked Ron.
Well, it's
yesterday.
not NBA versus China. It's NBA with China versus America.
That's true. That's true. So what is going on?
Okay, so the Houston Rockets GM, his name's Daryl Morey. He basically tweeted out something saying, we support Hong Kong. Basically, we support freedom.
Okay.
And Daryl Morey, for just a fun fact, actually tweeted at me before and said the hate is strong in this one. When I wrote that letter for the Jazz and I got famous for his pen, he tweeted at me because it was against his team. So we have a contentious relationship. I mean, obviously he's never heard of me, but
name dropping.
But I'm going to stand up for him 100% on this thing. And so what happened was he tweeted this thing out, said freedom for Hong Kong, and the NBA apologized to China and said, oh, no, we didn't mean that. And they apparently gave a gag order to all of these, again, we talk about woke people, Steve Kerr and Greg Popovich are these coaches who've spoken out on every injustice in America, and they're like, oh, I don't really know about that. I can't say anything. So the NBA, because of their financial line, they've really expanded China, has taken a hit, has actually said, we believe in free speech, but we apologize for him. We're sorry about that. We're not going to fire him, but they thought about that, but like, we don't like that.
Isn't it cute when people believe in free speech that is only the speech they agree with? Like, isn't that so free?
I mean, the most amazing thing is how the NBA, and like, there's a great article by Jamel Hill, who's this very far progressive. She got kicked off ESPN. Yeah, Jamel Hill. It was excellent. She said, look, liberals, like, it's easy to defend things that you consider bad when it doesn't cost you anything. When you actually have it, when it's a money thing, that's when you really stand up for your principles. The same way these Hollywood liberals talk about stuff. If it affects their paychecks, then they're a little bit not as outspoken about it.
Like Bernie and all his houses, or like Meghan Markle and Harry with their private planes.
I mean, what about who's the guy who raped all those people?
Matt Lauer?
No, Harvey Weinstein.
Sorry, the Matt Lauer thing is fresh.
Yes, the Harvey Weinstein thing is like, people knew about it for years, barely never spoke out. They're willing to speak out against Donald Trump for stuff that he says or allegedly does, but they never do when it affects their bottom line. And that's the problem with America.
It is the problem.
It's easy to say something when it doesn't hurt you.
Well, that's the beauty of being able to operate on emotion and not principle. I personally cannot do that. There's no part of me that could operate on strictly emotion and throw principle out the window. But when you have no principles, you just kind of go with the wind, and whatever hurts me is bad and whatever is good for me is good. And, you know, there are some things that I have to really swallow my pride to operate on principle about. And if more people were willing to do that, I think that we would see a lot less outrage culture. But unfortunately, that's just not the case.
And I mean, think about this. Like, when we talk about corporate welfare from Beacon's perspective, guess what? That's not endearing us to corporate donors. No. We're going to raise less money because of that, because corporations don't want to give us money because we're fighting against them getting tax dollars.
It's a principled stand.
I love sports. I want an NBA team here. I don't don't want them to fund it. It's not, you have to stand up to say, you know what, I'm either for it or against it. And when you talk about real human rights violations, that's what China's doing.
Yes.
Donald Trump saying dumb things is not a human rights violation.
It's not. Boom. All right. We're going to end on something a little bit happier. It is officially fall, kind of. It was 61
It's
degrees.
officially fall, kind of.
It was
You can't say officially and then kind of afterwards.
Well, it was officially fall. In Nashville, it's starting to feel more like
Okay,
fall.
okay.
Okay. So it was 61 degrees when I left my house this morning. That was pretty amazing. But the thing is, pumpkin spice lattes have been around since August. People have really been getting in the fall spirit.
Yeah.
PSLs. People have really been getting in the fall spirit a little bit too early for me.
Oh God, here we go. You're one of the Grinches.
No,
you're like
I'm
a Christmas
just a holiday,
Thanksgiving Grinch.
Like I appreciate holidays in their time. But I did last night. I just want to touch on fall trends for a few minutes. And I'm not a Grinch. I need to clarify my position. I'm not a Grinch, but but I do think that everything should stay in its own lane. And people are
That's not even a sentence, by the way. I think everything should stay in its own lane. Explain what you actually mean.
Okay, what I mean is...
You're using that like hipster weirdo lingo.
What I mean is... people were doing pumpkin this, that, and the other back in July and August. People are already talking about Christmas, and we haven't given Halloween its time. And
including
I love
myself.
Halloween. Okay, Mark is part of the problem.
I believe in freedom, so that's
Okay,
right. You say you should live in China. Maybe they can crack down on celebrating holidays. Yeah, no, I stand with Hong Kong and Christmas.
I'm not saying that the government should legislate when we can introduce PSLs into the market. What I am saying is, everybody needs to just calm down.
But why not this? How about just let people do what makes them happy? Because I know that thinking about Christmas makes me happy. I know that drinking, I drink just pumpkin coffee. I don't go to the PSLs, but I started in late August. I had my parents send me it from Wawa in Pennsylvania, and
you're part of the problem.
I'm happy to be part of this problem because guess what? I'm happier than most people, and it's because I do what I want legally, as long as it's within the law. Let me be clear, but like I can drink pumpkin coffee. I mean, my Christmas, I started listening, me and Kira went to a Christmas concert.
This always happens to me. I'm such a pushover that I start ranting about something and then Mark disagrees with me and it turns into a Mark rant against me.
But I'm right. So it's
okay, see, this is what happens. All I'm saying is there are a lot of fall trends. I don't know. What is your favorite fall trend, though? Like, what are you most excited about for the fall?
Is this a trend or is it like, tell me if this is right, but like I just think the leaves changing is the most fun, right?
It's not really a trend.
What's a trend?
Like a little bit out of our control.
Every year, so it is a trend.
My favorite fall trend is seeing like pumpkins on people's front porches. Like I love driving through my neighborhood and seeing like the pumpkins and the carved pumpkins.
Oh, pumpkin seeds. I like eating pumpkin seeds.
You like eating pumpkin seeds?
Only when I thought this was something my parents did by themselves. I didn't realize it was like a trend. But like people take the seeds out and then put salt in them and put them in the oven. Like they do roasted pumpkin seeds. And they are unreal good.
Honestly, never heard of it, but I'll try it.
So I'll try
it.
I talked to people about it, they're like, oh, that sounds like just a thing your parents did. And then I talked to a few people over the past months. I'm like, oh yeah, these are great. Of course they're good.
Okay, well, I'll give it a chance.
I think you'll like it. Like you might not hate Halloween and
I love Halloween. That's what I'm saying. Halloween,
you might want to celebrate it 4 months earlier then.
All I'm saying is we all have our favorite fall trends. I am on team everything gets the time that it's due, and you're on team
I'm on team have fun and enjoy yourself.
Oh my gosh.
Nope.
There is every season.
That's why I do Mark.
Every holiday.
Nope, wrong.
I cannot handle you. Okay, well, Mark and I are ending in a fight, which we didn't do last week.
A fun fight, though.
A fun fight. Send us a message on Facebook. Tell us your favorite fall trend, and we might talk about some of your favorites next week.
Yeah, it's still fall next week.
Yeah, it'll still be fall for a little while, Lord willing, and it does not get 90 degrees again. So, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.
See you.